Welcome to High-End Homes Handled Right. This is the Real Property Management Luxury Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Lyndel Johnson. You know, have you ever felt sick and you had to visit the doctor? And the doctor does these various tests for you. But before you even feel sick, you decide to go and do these checkups. Today, we're going to talk about checkups for your property, checkups for your tenants, things that you can do quarterly to make sure that your property is in top condition. So, as property managers, we tend to have so many things going on. We're speaking to residents, we're talking to the owners, we're talking to maintenance technicians, we're all over the place. And when you're so busy, just like in life, sometimes little things can be missed. So, what we want to talk about today are things that you can really pay attention to. You're really supposed to do these things all the time, but you can have a calendar, a quarterly calendar, to make sure that you hit these 5 tasks just to make sure that your property is running in prime condition. The first thing we want to talk about, and something that we talk about a lot on this podcast, is maintenance. Seasonal maintenance can be very, very, very helpful to you. Inspecting the HVAC system. Here in Houston, getting maintenance calls for, oh man, I just moved in, or I've moved into this house and the AC is only working on half of the house, or, hey, we've been here for a while and for some reason the AC is not working in my child's room and it feels like it's 110 degrees. These are calls that you don't want to get. So to try to prevent from getting these calls, you can set up a system where you inspect the HVAC, quarterly, or you can do it, before summer hits, and then you can do it before the winter. But having some type of preventative maintenance package can be helpful to, you as an owner. It can be helpful to you also as a property management company. It's better to be ready, and it's better to make sure that HVAC system is running correctly before that summer hits, and then you're down without an AC unit. That could be horrific. Something that I also recommend is, have some portable ACs, in your office or somewhere where if something is to happen like that, you can quickly dispatch one of these units temporarily as you figure out, how to get this HVAC system back where it needs to be. There is really nothing worse than to be uncomfortable in your house that you just paid rent for. That's just not right. So, the goal is always to take care of your resident, making sure that they're comfortable, they love where they live. And one way to really do this and to dig into it is making sure that that HVAC system is really, up to par. On the flip side to that, we'll talk about winter time. During the winter, if a winter storm is coming, make sure the pipes are taken care of. Make sure that you turn off the pipes. Make sure you do all these things to winterize to make sure that there's no issues during the winter storm. This is a great check and a big time issue for you to look into, because let's just say that it's a winter freeze, and here in Texas, we're just not ready for it, even though it happens. And the pipes now freeze, and then all of a sudden the pipes bust. And then what are you going to do? You've now got a leak. Now you have to call insurance, and it's just a big issue. So, it's good to have some type of system where you're checking these homes and you're turning off the pipes, you're turning back on. Another thing to look at in regards to maintenance is when you tour your homes, making sure that there aren't anything or there isn't anything around the house that can actually be a slip hazard, making sure that, the curb isn't raised in a certain location, making sure that there's not something there that can cause a slip. Then after that, I would really highly recommend that you check the water heater. I've seen several homes that the water heater wasn't working, or it was, the water was overfilled and it was going over the pan and it wasn't going through where it needed to be, and it was dripping from upstairs. Here in Texas, a lot of homes have the water heater upstairs, where in other locations you'll probably see your water heater in your garage. In the garage is probably the better place to put it, because if there's ever a leak, it's in the garage and it's not causing as much damage as it can cause if you have it on the upstairs attic area, and then all of a sudden, you got all this water coming down. So check the water heater. Also, when you do check the water heater, it's not just, worrying about leaks, but, making sure that, it's the correct temperature. You don't want it to be too hot. You don't want, your resident to complain also that it's just not getting warm enough. You need to check that. Cracks, another thing to look for. Make sure that you weatherproof all cracks that you see. This is something that many people don't really think about, but definitely look into it. Now let's just say now the spring comes around. You're going on the ladder. You make sure that you check the gutters. When you check the gutters, if your gutters are full of debris, where is that water going to go? Where is that water going to seep into? So checking the gutters is very important. Also, while you're up there, make sure you clean the foundation, clean the vents. And then during this springtime, make sure you tend to your landscaping. If your house is in a area where there's an HOA, trust me, what you don't want is to get that notice. But, you want to be beyond reproach anyway. So make sure that, during the springtime, you're tending to your landscape. You're making sure everything looks nice, making sure everything's trimmed, and you're getting ready for that summer. Once again, in that summer, you're talking about ACs again, and you're looking at, if you have a pool, you're making sure you service your pool, your irrigation. This is a perfect time that when you're doing your quarterly checks, you're looking at that, where's the water going? Are you wasting water? Once you turn on the irrigation system, you're getting a lot of water in the driveway. And how you can tell that if you're not seeing it visually is you're seeing the water, you're seeing the leftovers from, the irrigation system being on, sitting on your driveway. That's a sign that you need to, adjust. Also, you're going through your yard and you're looking for, maybe there's some heads that are broken. Maybe when you were mowing the lawn or your landscaper, maybe they broke one. So, this is a great time that, when you're doing these quarterly checks, if this is during that summertime that you're, turning on the irrigation system and you're looking for these issues. Also, if there are any other outdoor amenities, this is a great time to do it. Now we're moving into that fall. If you can, I would say have the roof inspected. It's not a bad time to do it. It's better to do it now than, you wait for after a storm, but, check that. Once again, you can check the gutters again during this timeline. And then also in the fall, this is the time that, those critters are looking for a warm place to go. Winter is coming. So now that warm places could be your house. So you want to check that foundation, making sure that, you seal holes that pests can get into. And you make sure that you remove any leaves and debris around the yard. So that's once again, the things that you can knock off your list quarterly in regards to maintenance. And some of these things are just making sure that, the chance of your renter calling for something, you're trying to minimize that. There are a lot of investors and homeowners that are renting their property that, the mortgage that they're paying for this property, let's say it's $3,000 and now the rent they're receiving is, $3,000 or close to it. So now they're even, they're at par, right? Having maintenance issues come out and they're not prepared for it can really hurt you financially or hurt your investor or your homeowner. So, doing these quarterly maintenance checks is very, very important. Your goal as a property manager is really just to make sure that, yes, you want to make sure the renter's happy and the investor's happy, but you really want to work towards getting that return on investment for your client. And a big way to do that is to do these quarterly checks. So once again, these checks are you're inspecting the HVAC, you're winterizing your pipes, you're preventing slips, you're checking the water heater, you're checking the roof, you're checking the gutter. If they have a pool, you're looking at the pool systems, making sure they're okay. You're making sure there is, all amenities outside are checked. You're looking at the roof, making sure there's no issues. You're looking at sealing the area for pests. These are all things that you're doing to make sure the property is taken care of. You're not waiting for that call. You're not waiting for that maintenance request to come through. You're already on it, and you've got a plan. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you have a plan. We've talked about that maintenance piece, and now another thing that you should check quarterly is your financial management. I highly recommend any property management company that's managing properties, or if you're doing it yourself, make sure you have a great bookkeeper. A bookkeeper that knows what they're doing is very, very important. In fact, when I started my own company, when I started property management, my first hire, who I leaned on and I really needed was that bookkeeper. I can't say hire, but they were the biggest asset to my team. And so they were teammates, and they are my teammates. So I really believe that, one of these things is, that quarterly check, the financial management, lean on your bookkeeper on that, because your goal really as a property manager, you want to make sure you grow that portfolio and you're not just giving away services. So that financial management is important. And also let's say for your client, you want to make sure that your rent collection is correct, is you're charging the correct amount of rent. You're making sure that, for example, you have a resident who has been living in a house, and with this house, they said that they had a pet. On the lease, they signed and they knew that they were going to get a pet rent every month. It was going to be charged, but they've been there for 9 months, and then that's when you look and you realize that you haven't been charging it. These things happen, and you need to do these quarterly checks to make sure. And as your portfolio grows and you have many properties, you want to make sure that you go back and look at these ledgers and look at the reports and make sure that you're charging what you're supposed to charge and you're not charging what you're not supposed to charge. So financial management is the second biggest thing that you need to look at. Third is making sure that you're doing your legal compliance checks. Rules change wherever state you are. Make sure that you abide by those rules and you're doing the right things. Maybe there was a rule that changed in regards to how much you can charge for late fees, or maybe you're in California and there's a new rule that says how much you can increase rent during renewals. As a property manager, and now if you're actually managing that property yourself, you need to be the expert. You need to be the expert of all these rule changes. So, when you do these quarterly checks, this is another good time for you to go and look, has there been any rule changes, and what are they, and are you abiding by that? So I highly, highly recommend that you do that. And another thing, another step, check in with your tenants. This should be so, you shouldn't check in with your tenants quarterly. I think, once again, these steps are the bare minimum. Checking in with your tenants should happen often. That's how you gain a relationship, and you get to basically, there's the bigger chance that you're going to they're going to be compliant with your rules. They're going to pay on time because you gain some type of relationship with your resident. And I'm not saying, a relationship where, they want to go hang out and have a beer with you. And you guys hang out and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that type of relationship, but I'm talking about a relationship where they understand the rules, they understand what you expect, and they also know that you care about them and their situation. So when they do call for a maintenance request, or if they do have an issue, they really believe and feel that it's important to you, and you're going to do all you can to take care of it. And that's also, and I think we talked about this in other podcasts, but that's what's going to also help you to have that renter happy enough to want to renew. So I do put this checking in with tenants on as a thing to do quarterly, but once again, this is just the bare minimum. You want to do that often, and not just that, but for all of it, the maintenance piece, financial management, the legal compliance, all of these things are things that you should do often. A problem with many property management companies that get so big is that they get so big that they just don't have the time or the personnel to go and do these things. So, make sure that you're not one of these companies that, it's okay to get big. It's really okay to get big. But if you're that big where you can't do these things, then maybe it's time to hire more property managers, or maybe it's time to hire new or more maintenance technicians. But these things are the minimum services that you should provide. But I say put this on a calendar for these things to happen quarterly. And I'm telling you, watch your portfolio rise, watch your maintenance requests to drop, and your clients will be happy. So once again, this is Lyndel. This is High-End Homes Handled Right. This is a Real Property Management Luxury Podcast. Have a great day. Goodbye.